My name's Warren Randle. I'm the father of Jalen Randle, unarmed black man killed April 27th by Houston Police Officer Shane Privette. I'm here to tell a story about my son, what happened to him, and to let people know what type of person he was and what character he possessed.
My name is Tiffany Rachal. I'm the mother of Jalen Randle. Basically, like Warren said, we want to get the story out to people so that they are aware what's going on in our city, which is Houston, Texas. And we want to tell about our son. We want to tell the greatness of him and to give people the idea of what has happened here. So, yeah.
Well, Warren, Tiffany, thank you both so much for sitting down and chatting with us at The Real News. I really appreciate it, and I can't begin to express how sorry I am for your loss. But we are all with you, and we know our audience is sending nothing but love and solidarity to you and your family in your fight for justice. And as you said, we're here in Houston, about a week out from the anniversary of your son's death at the hands of Houston police. And I know that it's been an incredibly devastating time for y'all, and the fight for justice, it's never easy, hasn't been easy in this case. So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about what folks watching and listening can do to support y'all and your family. But as you said, I really want to make some space to get to know more about Jalen and share his story with folks. And of course, you two do him best. So I was wondering if we could start there, just if we could talk a little more about who Jalen was, what you really remember most about him, what you want people to know about him.
Well, Jalen was a loving, caring individual. He was very outgoing, athletic, kind-hearted kid. He was a giver. He was the kind of kid who would always open the door for elderly people. He would see homeless people, give them money. Even I done seen Jalen actually purchase diapers for mothers who couldn't even afford to actually get Pampers or whatever. He would take on a lot of people. I would actually say, Jalen, why are you doing this? And he's like, I have to do it, And but also, as people, they have also. He was not perfect, and so Jalen was. Like I said, he had a semi-temper at times, depending on what the occasion or what was. But overall, he was a loving, caring son. Like I said, very giving. And in a lot of ways, I wish I could have been more like him. He was very giving and passive to individuals, more so than I would be. And he was a wonderful son. Like I said, I just wish he would have had more time to actually evolve and become the man he was supposed to be.
I had Jalen December the 2nd of 1992. I was probably into my 7th month. He came at a time where I was sick. He could have died, but God seen different. He was 2 pounds, 19 ounces. I can tell you as an adult how my child was, but I think I'm gonna go back when he was a baby. Mm-hmm. And when he came out, he was very, like as if he's been here before. He would cry with a loud voice. He was very strong, 2 pounds, 19 ounces. He was just maybe like this here.
A little thing.
He was very little, and he was very strong. And it seems as though he was caring at that point. As Jalen grew up, he showed a lot of emotions. Whether you would know if he didn't like something, you would know if he was happy, you would know the mood that he was in at that particular time. And as he grew up into a young man, he always wanted to teach somebody something. That was his thing. I want to teach you how to have dogs. I want to teach you. He never held back the information that some people would. He loved animals. He loved, matter of fact, we got his first goanna, this long lizard. I got it from a friend, and I can almost see him. He nourished this pet to where this pet was just like spoiled. I've never seen it in my life. But Jalen was a person that he would help. No matter how you feel, what you're feeling, he will help you get to the next level with anything that they were doing. I remember him throwing a baseball. And my son, my middle son, he could not catch the ball. So they both got in the backyard. I can see Jalen throwing the ball, and my other son, he would let the ball hit the fence. Well, we have several holes in the fence. And you had to, at some point, learn how to catch the ball because he's going to keep throwing it until you get it. And that's what he did with his brother. He made his brother better by throwing the ball. And that's how he have been throughout his life. He wants to make people better. He would go to somebody, like if they were on the street, saying, you don't have to be like this. You can change your life by doing this and this and this. So I miss that part about him because, again, like Warren say, it almost like wants it to embed in you and be that person. Now, I always say he wasn't perfect. He wasn't perfect, but to me, he was my child. And as together with Warren and myself, we see that, you know, he was taken unnecessary. So that's the part of Jalen that we loved and we cared about so deeply.
Man, I can kind of picture it now, especially like, I mean, my older brothers did that for me as well. We were basketball players. You might not know it because I'm short, squat Mexican guy, but like I was this height in junior high. So I was like a center bodying people up. But like before that, my brothers were doing that to me. So they taught me everything I know about playing basketball and just about being a person. And I think that's a really, really special bond that you share with your family that other people don't really ever get to see. And it sounds like you're saying that this was kind of just a part of who Jalen was. I mean, I have to imagine you guys had something to do with that.
Well, I mean, one thing I can say, reiterate what Tiffany said, made people better. Even through his death, he's making me a better person for as the things I advocate for, the things that I actually cherish now and don't take for granted. My son has made me a better person even in his death. And so he's made my life more purposeful and taking on better, bigger endeavors right now. And so he's still working.
Well, and you both said something that caught my ear, right? That he wasn't perfect. I mean, who is?
No one is.
Right? No one is. And I think I just wanted to sort of pause on that for a second because we're also here. We were kind of all brought together thanks to the folks at the University of Houston. Yes. We were brought for the 2023 George Floyd Memorial Lecture delivered by Robin D.G. Kelly. And we are about a 20-minute walk from CUNY Homes where George Floyd and his family grew up. And this is something that people were talking about in the wake of George's death at the hands of Minneapolis police. Sure. That he wasn't perfect, right? There's always something that people may use to sort of justify the unjustifiable death of black children, black adults at the hands of the police. And like, I don't know, making mistakes isn't a death sentence.
No, not at all. It's everyone's a work in progress. And as far as I know, the last perfect man that walked the earth was Jesus. And so in saying that, like I said, the purpose of evolving as a man, everybody learns through their mistakes, this, that, and the other. But when you consider one mistake as more is worse than the next person's mistake or whatever, that a mistake is a mistake. You should get time to learn from lessons or whatever. And then we're not even saying anything that happened in this situation. We just talking about just growing up as a young man. People make mistakes, and so we're not talking about anything but that. So we just wish he could have became the man he was supposed to be. But at 29 years old, you're learning. You're coming into a manhood and also exiting out the state of being a young man. So now, also I would like to say we forgot to mention he was a wonderful father.
Yes, he was.
And he spent time with his daughter every single weekend. They were going somewhere. They were going to urban area. They were going to the beach. They were going to the park. He left a 5-year-old daughter here. She was 5 at this age of when he died. And so he was a wonderful, caring father. He told his daughter every day, called her princess. Just made her feel special. And he was a wonderful father. Oh my God, much better father than I was. And he poured everything into his daughter. I forgot to mention that when we said we wanted to talk things about him.
Oh, I'm glad that you did.
Yeah.
Tiffany, what did you think of seeing your son grow into a father?
I thought that, well, Jalen always loved kids. That was a part of our family. We love kids. We love babies. We love kids, period. That's just the way that we are as a family. So when before Jalen had Jayla, he was taking care of other people's kids. He would go buy Pampers for this mother, single mother. He would take the child and I was like, Jalen, why you bringing all these kids to my house? He said, because Mama, we going here, we going there. He would literally take these kids to the park. He would take them all over. He would just do things with kids that did not even belong to him. But he would find a place and time to take these kids to other place. I'm not kidding you. Jalen loved kids. So when he finally had his own, he nourished this child. He did everything that he could possible before his death. And she is literally just like him. She thinks like him, she talks like him, and she say things that Jalen would say. And just yesterday, she said something to me like, Nina, I'm at school. I cannot kiss you. He did the same exact thing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You kiss me all the time. So, yeah, don't embarrass me and say I'm at school. But I'm just saying it's like God made us in our own image. And when I tell you, she is just like her father, and she has that caring spirit as well. And I remember when Jayla was little, I was telling him how to hold her. Say, Mama, I don't need you to tell me how to hold her. I say, but you holding her different, just hold her like this here. And he was like, Mom, I'm just gonna hold her in my arms to where nothing can never happen to her, and she will be protected by me at all times. And I say, wow. I say, okay, you got it. I don't need to interrupt. So that was amazing to me. And he loved his daughter so very much. He called her Sunshine. She say, I'm golden. And I say, you golden? What does that mean? I'm golden because my daddy said that I'm golden. And that touched my heart. So she has to go with no father at this point. And it's pretty much Warren and my son raising her, making sure, not my son, my husband, to raise her up as having a father figure in her life. And, that I can forever appreciate, them standing in the gap for Jalen.
Those gaps that you said, those absences, those losses are just so unbearably common in this country. I don't know, we all recognize the problem. Not we all, but so many of us join the marches, join the calls, and it just keeps happening, right? And it's for that reason that, some of us live in a different world where we have to do what we can to educate our kids about what could happen if they are confronted by the police. Did you guys have to have a talk with Jalen at any point about the police?
Well, of course, growing up in a black community or being a black man, you do have these kind of conversations with your child of how to act if you've been pulled over or how to talk, things of this nature, things that you shouldn't have to do, or you may tell your son, don't ride with more than this certain amount of people in the car, don't ride with hoodies on your head, or things of that nature, or be careful if you're going through this part of town because it's always some other standards that you're held up to, or some type of scrutinizing criteria that you have to be aware of at all times, which is actually bad in this country, which everyone should be supposed to be held under the same rules and regulations, which is totally not. It's an esoteric martial law, as we know, that's being imposed. And hey, deep in our minds, in our community, we know, hey, you can't do this. But they tell you, oh, you free speech, you can say, you can do what? Nah, that's not the actual truth. And so, yes, we did have those conversations about that, but not to the point as where we wanted to bring fear to him where he wouldn't be able to. And then he was brought up in schools that were actually diversified, so he actually knew how to associate, because the problem is not with the children, the problem is with the adults. Racism and things of this nature are taught. And so the kids love each other. And so it actually comes to be a problem once they're taught this way of thinking. And so we didn't want to confuse or cloud his way of thinking where he would become the same as, we wouldn't be the same as the people who brought racism. We want to let our child know, hey, listen, these are the factors of what's going on, but love everyone. And so we never, we let him be aware, but we didn't want him to be discriminatory towards other people as what they instill into their children. So that would be hypocritical. So yes, we did have the minute conversation about that.
And, I know that, you've been asked to do this before, and we can talk about as much as you're comfortable doing. And we will, in the description for this interview, we'll link to some of the local coverage.
Sure. A lot of it's been blatantly X'd out. But
that's why I've been hesitant to, I'm hesitant to share much of it, because a lot of it just feels like it's just written from the police report.
It's some clear links. Well, one thing about what happened in the event, you can't erase the facts. Yeah. You can't erase the truth. And no matter what narrative that these people try to create, you still shot an unarmed man. I don't care what happened. You can't get around that fact, which actually is not a great thing, but the good thing that this happened, it happened in daylight. It was blatantly, it was in the mid-open day, so you couldn't say, oh, I felt threatened in daylight. You can't say, all of us felt threatened, because most of the time where an individual is shot, more than one cop shoots the person. That's right. Jalen was only shot by one individual, and a couple of statements he said on his mic was hot, he wasn't aware of that, but he said some very incriminating things, and those things you really can't get around. And so he will have to answer what made him say these things, why he said these things, and why was anything said in the first place. Talking about ending someone's life or oh shit in 3 seconds, like you knew you were gonna do it. But like I said, the events that happened, they can't be erased. There is still enough footage that why do you even have to drag a man using a shot in the back, handcuff a man that's shot in the back of his neck and drag him? These are events and things that no matter what they try to erase, you will have to erase everything that happened in total. And there's no way to do that, because this is an event that happened.
Right, and I guess just to make sure that anyone watching who maybe hasn't heard about this story until now, when we're talking about the timeline of events, right, leading up to Officer Shane Privette shooting your son within, like you said, 3 seconds of getting out of his car.
Yes.
So I guess could we just walk listeners through, viewers and listeners through the timeline here, so that they know just those facts of the story, like you were saying.
Of the shooting?
Yes.
Well, before even Jalen had time to comply to any commands, as he was exiting the car, before he even had time to say, put your hands up, he already had shot Jalen. And shit, the time limit is 3 seconds. And so it's no way, it's not like we have a whole lot to talk about 3 seconds. These are the things that happen in 3 seconds. We can't say he ran, we can't say he did anything. All we can say is he exited his car and he was shot. That's basically as simple and as truthful as what happened. And but beforehand, in the ongoing pursuit of Jalen to be apprehended on some warrants that they actually brought out a militia type police team out to apprehend Jalen. Jalen has never been convicted of any violent or crimes or anything like that, so it was just a simple apprehension on warrants. So there was no need for that type of tactical team to even be out there to apprehend him. But on the way to apprehend Jalen, the police didn't know, Shane Privette didn't know his mic was hot, and he actually was heard saying he would never live or leave this neighborhood alive. So that in itself is stating, hey, these are my premeditated motives. So as they do a pit maneuver or whatever going on with Jalen, as they hit the car pit maneuver, Jalen gets out the car. As soon as he gets out the car, before Shane Privette could say, raise your hand up, he fired the fatal shot that killed my son. And so it wasn't much Jalen could do. It's nothing you could do within 3 seconds. You can't raise your hands up in 3. It was too late. So this guy, I don't know, I think it was maybe 9, 10 maybe police officers. He's the only one who shot. He already said this premeditated statement. And then after he shoots, he says, oh shit. And so it's like you trying to cover what you did. You already knew what you was gonna do. And this same officer's already been beforehand beat up another black guy, broke his orbital bone. He got acquitted through a grand jury twice. The first one convicted, they brought it back again, they kicked it out. His case is still in the federal system, civil court system right now. So, in saying that the Houston Police Department put these kind of people back on there when you know his history of this individual or what he's capable of, so it's not much we can say about what happened in 3 seconds, because 3 seconds is so small of a window. I just, this is what happened and led up to that situation.
Well, thank you for breaking that down for our viewers and listeners. Because you're right. I mean, again, folks can watch the video, they can listen to that audio. They can see how quickly it happens that Officer Privette gets out of the car, shouts, shoots, within the blink of an eye, your son is shot.
Yes.
And I know that there's been a back and forth with the police department trying to refute, what your independent autopsy determined, that your son was shot in the back of the neck versus the front of the neck. And of course, the demand, your family's demand, the community's demand for answers and accountability have been met with a long, drawn out, shitty process, pardon my French. I was wondering if you could talk to us a bit about that, about afterwards, like what it's been like for you all, what the community response has been, and also what the state of the struggle for justice is to get accountability from the Houston police.
You want me to?
Yeah, you can start illiterate.
Really, we haven't got any response basically from the Houston Police Department. It seems like the police chief Finner, his hands are tied by the police union, which really is dictating the actual activities which have, the wheels towards justice are not being turned. And of course, now we're dealing with also the legal system. Also now, the advocate on our side now is supposed to be the district attorney, which is normally the one who prosecutes people other than the police. And so we have to pray and hope that these people do what's right. And it's been a fight for them to do that, to actually aggressively attack the situation, because if me and Tiffany and her husband Tony, we hadn't really did this grassroots thing ourselves, we hadn't got any help from any politicians or anybody like that, because guess what? If it's not, like I say, if it's not media worthy, you're not gonna get any help. So we're not getting that motivation, that drive and pull, but also the 2 times that we were getting the drive and motivation, some mass shootings happened in America, which involved kids, which we understand. And so they kind of overshadowed what happened with Jalen. But at the same token, this is the 4th largest city in America, and these type of things shouldn't go on here, or they shouldn't go on anywhere. And not even the NAACP here, local chapter, has been involved with anything, but on the national or worldwide news, you have every politician, Sheila Jackson Lee, you got Al Green, all the people that are senators in the area, they are advocating for these other countries or other people where they don't really have to put their hands on it, because they don't want to offend any type of their constituents. So they're not, what should I say, stand up enough to stand up for what's right. They stand up for they stand up for staying in office. And I don't, me myself, and I think people should stand up for what's right and wrong, and not for, hey, I'm in office, I'm a politician, because the politicians are supposed to represent the needs of the people instead of their own personal needs. And so these people just want to stay in office and stay their tenure there and be media whores. And so this is what's going on. And so we've been doing everything I've said with help from advocates like Selena Charles, Dr. David McNally, people like this who really don't care about money or power. They care about right and wrong. And so, with their help and actually meeting you guys and bringing, having us do this interview is all because of these people, not because of politicians. We hadn't heard from the mayor. He's never acknowledged, hey, I'm sorry, well, what happened to your kid? But we're gonna find out what's right and wrong. You didn't even have to say which side you're on. You could have said, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I'll find out what's right and wrong. But it's his last tour in office, so I guess he wanted to go out like this. We went to a city council meeting maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and everybody, we're gonna help you, leave your numbers. Listen, these people don't really care. And we were just talking to Dr. Kelly a moment ago outside, and I brought up a student asked a question, why is it that we're not getting the help or the energy needed to move, not just talking about our case, he was talking about racial inequalities and injustice, period, is because no one has purpose anymore. And see, my purpose every day is not for money, it's not for anything, it's about leaving a good legacy for my child and to help others. And that's a purpose. And that's my drive and dedication and motivation to do what's right and wrong. These other people's politicians, this, that, and other, like I said, they have no purpose. And most people, to be honest, they have no purpose because it hadn't happened to them yet. Mm-hmm. And most people are not open-minded enough to say, if it can happen to you, it can happen to me also. And so, anyway, I just feel like I'm talking a whole lot. I'm sorry, but yeah. So this is where we're at.
And Tiffany, I was wondering if you had anything you wanted to add in terms of where you may have gotten support from the community, or Anything you wanted to add to that?
When when we had Jalen's funeral, Jalen had about over 600 people at his funeral.
Yes.
It's very discouraging that I can sit and say, where are these 600 people that came to his funeral? We didn't have city council, we didn't have El Sharpton, we didn't have all the big dogs come in and say anything at Jalen's funeral. Sheila Jackson Lee didn't even come in and say anything at Jalen's funeral. And all the pastors in Houston, Texas, I have sung at so many churches, and I do praise and worship, and I can tell you 3 by name, as of today, has called me and say, Tiffany, we are praying for you and your family. And that right there is very upsetting to me, because my father is a pastor, by the way, and I have brothers pastors, uncles and grandfathers pastors. And one thing I can say, my father always used to tell us, the church is the hospital. And whenever you have issues, healing, anything that's going on in your life that you need to share or you need to get to God, this is the place where you come. And to me, the church has changed. It changed as far as to run a business. And that's how I feel like everything is. Right. Everything is about a business and what we can do to make a dime. And to me, they are missing what's going on right here. They're missing the point that this just didn't happen to Jalen. As you know, Tyree Nichols, you know about the swift movement with the black officers that was indicted and charged and fired from the police department. They didn't need a grand jury. So why are we going through this? Why, if you see film and you see what happened, why do we have to wait the time that we wait before anything ever happens? So this is the accountability that I feel like our community leaders, they should be involved. They should be involved in the marching. They should be calling Warren and myself, asking, what can we do? What can we do to assist you guys in making this the reality that it is? You know, we haven't had that. We haven't had accountability from councilmen, councilwomen, really nobody. Really, we doing this ourselves. We're trying to take every outlet to tell the story of Jalen Randle. And it has not been easy.
I can't imagine. Because
it's like every time we get it on TV, something happens. Just like this recent thing that happened, I think his name is the little boy that went to the wrong house and he got killed by a white guy. You know, it's almost like every single time, like, I'm not big, all means, my heart go out to the family, my condolences to the family, and we want to stand in solidarity with this family as well, as we do every family that have been killed by the force of discrimination. We are here. But at the same time, it just seems like things keep drowning out the story, and the story is not being told, and to let everybody, it's a lot of people still don't know about Jalen Randle. You know, so we got to go outside of town, different cities, to get people to come here to help, you know, with the movement. And that right there to me is an issue. It's an issue.
Well, I mean, and this hits very close to home as someone in the media, right? I mean, because I feel like as a news network that does our best with the team that we have to try to cover as many stories like your son's as we can, we kind of deal with the same issue of like trying to get people to care, not just for a moment when the story breaks, but to commit and to keep committing until we see the story through and get some sort of justice. So like normally I interview like workers about unionizing on the job, right? Or maybe they were unjustly fired and they're trying to get their job back, or something like that. And it's like I'm trying to get people to care about this story, but then Starbucks closes another store that was trying to unionize, right? Or Amazon fires another Chris Smalls type organizer. And then it's like you said, it's like you're being buried in sand and trying to climb your way out and trying to get people to still care, but the news cycle just never stops. And this country just never stops killing people and breaking the law and hurting poor and working people that, I don't know, it does feel, like a deluge that you can never really get on top of. But we're gonna do everything that we can to help get your story out, get your son's story out. And I wanna finish by asking what people can do to stand in solidarity with y'all. But I also I would be remiss if we didn't kind of really underline this for people watching and listening, because we cover this every week on a show called the Police Accountability Report. And my colleagues Stephen, Janice, and Taya Graham show week in, week out how police use things like traffic stops to just take away all of our rights. Because if you get stopped for it, like a traffic stop is a death sentence for way too many people in this damn country. Yeah. Or even like, or like running from a cop. So I know people will say, it's just like, oh, well, if they ran, they got what they deserve. It's like, no, running from a cop is not a death sentence. It is not capital, we do not have capital punishment for that. Yeah, it makes the police's job a little bit harder. Tough shit. Like, that does not mean that a person's life should be taken away that quickly. And I just don't know why that's such a hard thing for people to wrap their heads around. You don't have to be a perfect person to not deserve to be killed by the police for a minor infraction or a traffic stop. You do not deserve to be killed for running away or not even running away. Like in the case of your son, 3 seconds, there was nothing he could do in that time.
Or even ask yourself, why is it those individuals that are always shot are people of color? You can have mass murderers that are white and they walk right into shoot 20, 18 people, they're handcuffed and apprehended and walked out. And so we can continuously say this, but the problem is the disappropriate number of blacks compared to whites. White people get pulled over, they're not shot. White people can spit in the police face, they can do all kinds of things. And it's a shame that you have to even have these type of conversation, because it's not even a color of black and white, it's right and wrong only. And right and wrong is the only thing that really matters in life, because it's not right to do, if it was reversed, it wouldn't be right to do it to a white person, a Spanish person, anybody. And so but the conversation needs to be held, why is it always the black person? And so that's the big question at hand.
Well, and I know we're not going to fully answer that question here, but I really, really hope everyone watching and listening sits with that question and listens to your story.
And can I say one more
Please.
thing? I wanted to say this certain thing because I wanted to bring this up because it has been tugging on me. I try to stay away from social media. I try to stay away from what the people have to say about certain things, because you're gonna always find somebody saying something negative. But it was one thing that really, I felt like I had to speak on, and that thing was what we talked about at the beginning, where we try to set the narrative on certain situations. And this person stated that if he wouldn't have ran, and if he would have complied, if he wouldn't have had warrants. So I asked this person, so let's think about this situation. I'm not going to be disrespectful because I don't know who you are, but let's think about this. Let's put it in terms. So I put it in outline, and I asked the first question. So if you had a warrant for a ticket that you did not pay and you did not go to court, and then the officer decide to stop you and use excessive force, did you deserve it? If you would have ran and the officer would have came behind you and did the stun gun, would you would have deserved that? If the officer would have shot you because of a traffic ticket that you didn't get a chance to go to court for, regardless to if it's you forgot or you just didn't go, whatever the situation, did you deserve to get shot? We have to find solutions here. And to me, going into a community of black people, it's mixed, it's pretty much mixed. And going into that community and using that type of excessive force is crazy to me. It's unnecessary. Did you have a vision of how you was gonna approach this situation? Did you have a plan of how you was gonna approach this situation? I was always told, if you are not a part of a solution, you are part of the problem. And to me, you was a part of a problem that you already had in your mind that you were getting ready to go and make this thing happen. So when he made the statement that Jalen would not leave the neighborhood, but he changed it. He said, no, let me correct that. He will not leave this neighborhood. And he said he switched it up. He said live, and then he say leave. So he kind of like switched it up. So we don't know what he thought, but to me that's premeditated. You know, so I just wanted to say that no matter what we think or how we think about an issue, stop trying to get on social media to make people feel uncomfortable and try to justify what this officer did to my son. Make it right, because it's not right. It's not right. It was wrong from the word say go, because they didn't have a plan. They had a motive, but they didn't have a plan.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very powerfully put, and I really hope people take that message to heart. And I'm sorry that you've had to see and deal with crap like that when you're dealing with the worst tragedy that parents could deal with. And I guess to kind of round things out, and I'll let you guys go, and I'm so grateful to both of you for sitting down and sharing this with us and our audience. I wanted to ask what folks can do to support y'all and your family, what they can do to stand in solidarity with you and to join the fight to get justice for your son.
Well, for me, I think we need to oust and get these politicians out of office, vote, get these politicians out of office that are not doing anything to help the constituents. Guys, you have to be engaged and you have to stand for something, not even talking about the politicians, I'm talking about people as a whole. Things are changing very rapidly in our country. And if we're not looking at what's going on, it soon may happen to you. So becoming unified in a cause of some sort, it doesn't even have to be for my son, but just a cause of standing behind people wanting justice and tired of the injustices that have been happening to people, period. Whether it be gay rights, whether it be black, Hispanic rights, whatever, stand for something. Just don't walk around like everything is perfect in life, because the world is steadily evolving and changing to a worse place. And it won't change unless we change. We hold the power to change the world. We can't let people dictate how we live in the world. We dictate how we live, and it's by our actions. And we have to stand together in solidarity, because guess what? The only thing that's true in the world is love. And once you change, you either could love or you could hate. There's no in-betweens. And so if we don't choose to love each other, guess what? The hatred will kill us.
And I feel as though we need our own people to commit Just because it did not happen to you does not mean that it will never happen to you. So don't wait to deal with that situation in hand. Do something now. Get up, do something now. Like he said, voting. Voting is very necessary. I hear often that it doesn't matter if we vote, it doesn't count. Not true. Get out and vote and stop these people from getting in office that just don't do nothing at all. And don't re-elect them. Get them out the office. Why continue to recycle people that don't even look at the matter as a problem? So I think that voting is one of the things, and two, we need to start kind of collectively coming together and making things move. We have a protest on Saturday this weekend, and April the 22nd, and we're asking everybody to get involved with the movement, because the more you have out there, the more they're gonna see, oh, they really serious, which we have had beautiful protests in the past. But this particular protest, it has to be big. It has to be in numbers, because of the simple fact we coming up on a year of Jalen's death date, and still yet today we don't have accountability. And that right there is very disheartening to us. So we're just asking everybody to join the movement. Join the movement and come in. It's nothing that we can do about Jalen. Jalen is not here anymore. But we have other kids. Warren has a baby son. I have 2 sons, and they have kids. So we are fighting for the future of our children. And we ask everybody to join in.
Thank you so much for watching the Real News Network, where we lift up the voices, stories, and struggles that you care about most. And we need your help to keep doing this work. So please tap your screen now, subscribe, and donate to the Real News Network. Solidarity forever.